Hey everybody, Rick from agiprodj.com. We have a very great customer named Ramiro in Kansas who just purchased a QSC sound system. This is actually my own personal system that I thought, rather than answer Ramiro's question about how do you hook all this up in the club and when you're out on mobiles, if Ramiro has this question, and I'm the type of guy that would have this question years ago, there's probably 8 or 10 DJs for every one that knows how to do this that don't. So we thought this might be actually useful to show how would you set up this kind of system. We've got two QSC HPR 181Is and two K12s. Great sound system. Now the question is, how do you make it all go? So this is the exact setup that I anticipate Ramiro is going to have. Granted, here where we're shooting, everything's condensed and everything's together. But we're shooting from the back side because most of the time our DJ console is going to be looking from this angle. So hopefully that makes sense. So we've got some cables here. And again, if any of this stuff is elementary and like, it's crazy, why is AGI even showing this? I know all this. Well, a lot of people don't know this. This particular cable is called an XLR cable. It's got 3 wires that run through it. It's also known as a microphone cable. This happens to be a male end, and that's a female end. And a lot of times with the gear that we use as DJs, these are the cables we use. The beautiful thing, and by the way, if you're using powered speaker, the beautiful thing about a powered speaker is you could run a couple hundred feet of XLR cable to a remote speaker because this kind of cable allows for that to happen. So this is where people tend to get kind of confused. They look at all the inputs and their brain just kind of goes sideways thinking, how in the world do I make this happen? Well, in this particular case where we've got 2 subs and 2 tops, some guys will ask the question, do I run cords from my mixing console to the tops first and then to the subs? Do I go to the subs first? The answer to this particular setup is it doesn't really matter. My own personal preference is actually to use shorter cable runs, and so hypothetically, if your DJ console was close to the subs and your 12s were, out a little bit farther, maybe as much as 20 to 30, 40, 50 feet away, I would actually use a shorter cable run and go to the sub first. Now, remember, if your console is back here, remember the frame of reference for your audience. Your audience is out there looking this direction. So what does that mean? Your left out on your mixing console should really go to the right side. So that's going to be the first connection we make. Out of your mixer right, we're going to go in to the right input of the sub. We're going to do the same thing for the left-hand side. We're going to go into the left input, which is a full range input right here. Keep in mind, we've got a left and a right. There's 2 of them here. Technically, you wouldn't have to go right and left. You could put them both in the left input if you wanted to, but just for my own kind of understanding of how things work, it's better to keep track that this is one side and this is the other. So actually these are backwards. This was the way we're going to do it actually. So if I'm from the audience over there, that would be my right, this is the left. So the next thing what we're going to do, this is a full range input. We've got 2 choices with this particular sub. Again, this is the 181i. There are 2 possible choices. If we go here, this is a full range input, this is a full range output. So if we plug this in out, everything that goes in this cable into the speaker comes out 100%. It matches the signal completely. And we could actually go right into the input of channel A on the 12. One thing important to know is generally when you first kind of test a sound system, you could run everything at unity or the 12 o'clock position. We're going to do the same thing, and again, you'd bring these volumes up after you had powered the system up. Power your mixers up first, then your speakers. When you're shutting down for the night, shut these down, and then your mixing console. So let's do the same thing. A full range output goes into the K12. That's the simplest and easiest way to do this. The other option you have, people might say, well, what do these inputs down here do? They're actually outputs, and instead of full range, you can set it to 100 hertz. What that has done is it's now sending everything above 100 hertz to whatever you plug into up here. Why is that important? Sometimes if you do events and you're really going to do a lot of volume, you're going to pound away on it, then sometimes you want to relieve your main cabinets. And if you're using a subwoofer, why not send everything over 100 hertz to the main cabinet? My own preference, if it's a smaller event, just go ahead and run the whole thing full range. The other thing unique about the K-Series is if we do decide to run this just full range, and this would actually be probably the speaker manufacturer's recommendation too, when you use a sub, go ahead and use this external sub setting. That activated the crossover that's built in internally into this cabinet. So now it only reproduces frequencies above 100 hertz. So that's another option to do it as well. If you want to just run it normally, you can do that. The best thing is just to let your ear decide. External sub setting crosses it over. There's a normal, and then there's also the deep setting, which just gives it a little bit more of the bottom end feel to it. So that's 2 subs. Well, what if you had only one of these? It's a real easy change. All you got to do is your left and right plug into the same sub. So left and right, and then we've got the right and left out, full range, up to the speaker right here. K-sub seems to be a topic of hot discussion nowadays. For those of you who have questions, should I get K-subs? Should I get something bigger like a 181? We get those questions all the time, and not only do we know it from the sales side of things, we use these products at our own events, and so I can tell you on the phone or by chat or email when you should use certain subs on different applications. This is even more straightforward. There's no crossover built into the K-sub. You've got a left and a right input, or as they call it, a channel A and channel B. So you would just put your inputs here and then a direct full line output out to your K tops, either the 12, 10s, or 8s. Since there's no crossover, that would be something you could also take care of here. Nice feature built in, the external sub. Once again, you can set that. And this is full range, but your K12 will be then set to receive frequencies, or at least broadcast frequencies over 100 hertz. Now, for those of you who kind of have a preference on going to the K12s first, you can definitely do that. You would just put your input here, and then you could just do a full range output from this side right here. This bottom guy is more of a mix output that we focus on some of our other videos, like the back panel video look. But just to keep it simple, in here and out here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Pretty straightforward. And once you hook it up, that's the big thing, guys. Once you do this once and you test it and it sounds good and you dial this in and all the little things you want to do, that's when it all will come together and make sense. Some guys are audio, some guys are visual, and so we're here to help you no matter what way you learn the best from. So that's QSC. That's how you hook all this stuff. Thanks for watching.